Welcome to the Budding Author Podcast with me, Simon Ward, your host. Today, we're talking to Laura Liptrot. Laura has a wealth of experience in lots of different areas, don't you, Laura? You've got acting, voice acting, playwright, poet, and presenter on the Black Country Radio. So you're a busy old lass, aren't you?
Oh yeah, I try to keep as busy as possible. Try to have my fingers in as many pies as possible. Yeah.
The
Hmm.
thing is, I feel sorry for the people that are in a 9 to 5 and sort of think, and many people are in a 9 to 5 role. You sort of in a position where you can sort of spread things out and do a little bit of everything, and that's nice, isn't it?
Oh, definitely, yeah. And if I'm sort of getting a bit down over not getting loads of acting work, I say, okay, well, I'm going to retreat into writing, and then something seems to happen with the writing, and that's a nice distraction. And then I say, oh, okay, I'll do some artwork now, and then suddenly something pops up with the acting, and oh, okay, I'm an actor this week. It's nice to have that range. Hmm.
And it's not with the acting like most what is it, the joke they say for most actors? What do you say to an actor? You say, oh, can I have hot chocolate or whatever it is? But you've got yourself in out and about. Patient 52, Axel Falcon, Trespassers. So got
Oh,
appearances in all of those. So that's
mhm.
that exciting. Getting involved
Yeah.
in that.
Oh, yeah, those were a lot of fun, and the directors I was working with was just so amazing and supportive. Trespassers was probably my biggest film role in an independent film, and I, I suppose I was the female lead really. There weren't a lot of female parts. It was very male orientated, but I think
Yeah.
I was a very prominent character. Um, I won't give anything away in case anyone watches it, but I had a lot of fun with it. Yeah, it's a very fun
But
film.
how do you get involved in that sort of stuff? Like, how do you get that role?
So, pretty much just going on Facebook and answering ads for things that are paid if they can be, independent if not. I'm
Yeah.
trying to remember how I met the director of Axel. I think it was through a friend of a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
Yes, I was doing a stage production, and somebody said to the director, "Oh, this girl's good. Why don't you ask her to self-tape for this part?" And then the director said, "Yeah, great." So networking,
Uh,
really, that's really the key.
so that's clever actually. Like the amateur dramatics. When you've been involved with the comedy theatre group, we
Yeah.
both saw the panto last week. I went on Friday. Sort of friend of mine in it, and you were there on Saturday, I believe. I know your
Mhm.
dad was responsible for writing that and directing it, wasn't he, Phil Fliptrot? Yeah.
So it was
Um,
actually so it was Steve Carey Wooldridge who wrote it, but Dad directed it and produced it.
I
Yeah,
got you,
yeah,
your dad. Yeah. The yeah. Sometimes you see people on a show like that, and you see some people sort of jump out. It's like they've got star quality, haven't they? So you never
yeah.
know who's going to be there watching, do you? When you're doing the little shows and.
Yeah, that's it. I've been in amateur shows where somebody's been approached afterwards and said, "Oh, you'd be great for this role." A tramp, actually. They said you'd be great to play a tramp in the
Oh,
production.
nice. That
Me,
wasn't
somebody
you,
else.
was it? I hope.
No, that was somebody else. I was mistaken.
You'd be good as a tramp. That I don't think I'd take that very well if people said that to me.
It was
It's
a bit
funny
like, oh,
when I saw the show on Friday, I was thinking, should I have got involved in this? And I thinking, oh, what role could I have played? And then quite often you forget that you're getting older, like I do anyway. So then when I look in the mirror, it's like, oh, maybe I wouldn't have been so good as Prince Charming, perhaps. I don't know.
well, I don't know. My dad played it once, and I've played Robin Hood, so I don't know. Maybe.
Prince Charming's dad, maybe. I think now that's the area. Um, I want to talk to you about your writing stuff. Um, when did you first get in? When did you first start writing?
Um, Probably as a really little kid, I'd always been quite fond of it, and then my novel writing, I was really inspired by Doctor Who when that first came back, so that was about 2004, 5.
Yeah,
Um, then I published some poetry books, and then I finally said, people like your poetry, let's dare to show the novel to someone. And lo and behold, Tenebra's Texts have published the first in the series. So
Oh,
I've always had writing, but it's only recently I've had the confidence to actually share it with anyone.
yeah, I think it does take a lot to sort of cross over into that public domain, doesn't it? I think for me, I sort of wrote sort of some short stories and that sort of thing. I didn't particularly share them. It was only when I was working at BMW that a friend of mine, Andy, said, "Oh, there's a competition. You should enter this competition." And then when you share it with other people, you're obviously opening yourself up to criticism, but you're also opening yourself up when people see the value in what you're writing, and
Yeah,
it's critical to share your work. Um, it's the old X Factor thing, isn't it? Sort of, Mom says I'm really good, and then you sing in front of somebody who knows what they're listening to, and they
yeah.
go, "No, you're not." So it's nice to get positive feedback. And what sort of review have you had? Some nice reviews on your book so far? So I know you got your first one you've released. You got another one in May, another one in August. So
Yeah.
the fantasy romance has been rolled out at great pace.
Oh yes, a space fantasy romance series. I've not really had any reviews yet, actually. Um, I mean,
Still
people have bought
early.
them. Yeah, friends and family have bought them. Don't know whether they like them or not. Remains to be seen. But no, I'm not really at the reviewing stage yet. I'd love to
Okay.
get some reviews, but yeah.
Well, we'll put a link in the description, perhaps, so people can have a look. Tell us a little bit about it. What kind of audience would like this? What's it similar to?
So it's kind of adult fantasy. It's a little bit Doctor Who, but it's kind of a bit more Narnia, but like an adult Narnia.
Okay.
So I suppose, as opposed to classic Doctor Who, it's more the emotional and the romance and the moral issues of everything you see. That kind of theme that only really came into Doctor Who in the last 15 years or so. Um, so yeah, it's fun adventure, but with more adult themes, and
Okay.
the character goes into his relationship with his father and his stepmother and things like that. So it's a little bit kitchen sink drama, I suppose, as well. Uh, there's a witch, there's a werewolf revelation, there's planets, there's royalty. It's a real mishmash of magic, Narnia, Doctor Who, shades of Bridgerton, bit Harry Potter, I suppose. Just
Yeah.
if you're into that kind of thing and you like it from a grown up point of view, as it were, then I'd
Yeah.
say this is for you.
I
Yeah.
think when people refer to something as adult,
Hmm.
I think, oh, there's sex in it. Then
Mm.
would that be true?
In later books, yeah.
Yeah.
So the first
Okay.
book, yeah, the first book, the characters are children. Well, they, I don't want to give too much away, but there's two children who are central characters, and it's very much the life story of the male child. And obviously, in later books, he grows up and has a very full, adventurous life.
Yeah.
So there will be a little bit of fruitiness, and again, that's kind of okay.
Fruitiness. I like. That's a great
Fruit,
description. Fruitiness. We don't use that word enough. That is a word that we're not used enough, I'm sure. I think
yeah,
it's a difficult subject to cross, because when you are into discussing sort of adult romance and
yeah,
sort of sections, people expect that there's going to be some sort of fruitiness. See what I'm using
yeah,
it now? Some
yeah,
fruitiness in there, and the level and the heat level is always a difficult one to gauge, isn't it? From I'm not sure, like from your point of view, when you're reading um, books that contain an element of fruitiness,
mm,
um, it's difficult to pitch it, isn't it? To find a book that sort of think, hang on, that's about the right level for me. It's quite difficult
yeah.
to pitch that level, isn't it?
Yeah, well, one of the writers I'm inspired by is Martina Cole. I think my writing style's like hers. The genre isn't. It's
Yeah,
not crime. But the style is.
yeah,
And the way she writes sex scenes are very much, they move the story on. There's a point to them. They're not
yeah,
gratuitous. It's not titivation. And I think that's what has happened with my writing. It's sort of, do I leave this out? Well, no, because it's kind of vital to the story. It's vital to
yeah,
how feels. It moves the character's emotions on. So it's not so much something I've tried to put in because I think all people will like the sexiness. It's more, it would be odd to not have it. It would look very censored if I left these bits out,
yeah, yeah.
because
I know what you're saying.
I do try and address a lot of like psychological issues, and sex is very much one of them. The second book is very much whilst he's going through puberty. So there's lots of changes going on in his head, and obviously different planets, so that's kind of impacting as well. So
Yeah,
yeah, I haven't censored myself, and sometimes I've been a bit cheeky. It's not 50 Shades of Grey. It's not heated, rampant. It's just kind of, the sex is there, kind of thing.
yeah. It's got the soft elements to it. I think.
Yeah,
I think from my point of view, with my trilogy, initially the heat level was too high, so I went back and edited it and pulled it
yeah.
down a level, and I'm much more comfortable sharing it with people now, so people's sort of eyebrows don't raise too much. But with your it's a trilogy, or you got more to come as well?
It's a book series of at least 15 books.
Oh, okay, okay. Now they say you should always have a series going, so that's good. How did you plot those? Have you plotted all 15 books already, or have you just got sort of a general thought about those?
Um, well, this is a series I've been working on since 2005, so since I was 11, 12, something like that.
Yeah,
So it's difficult to gauge exactly how it came to life, because I think I just woke up one day post lockdown and I was, oh, here's a series of stories. Um, and having the discipline of a publisher is going to publish it, I've been able to say, okay, let's take them out of the notebooks, let's seriously split them up and see how they're going to work. And it started off as about 10 books, and then I said, oh, okay, there's a story I want to tell here, there's this story here. So most of them are actually written. Some of them are just, I know what's going to be in the books.
yeah,
Uh, I've I've half written the end, so I do know how the series is going to end. Um, they're kind they're kind of practically good to go. It's just I'm so
yeah.
impatient, and my publisher says to me, "No, you can't publish them all in one go. You've got to leave a few gaps."
Well, you've got to
So
have some gaps. Who's your publisher, and how did that come around?
it's Tenebrous Texts, Stephen C.
Tenebra.
Davis,
Yeah,
Tenebrous, yeah,
yeah,
um, Tenebrous Text. So it's Stephen C. Davis, um, and so I self-published a couple of poetry books, and I was taking them around to open mic poetry events, and I sort of kind of knew of Steve, and I knew somebody called Ian Henry, who's good friends with Steve, and I just sort of got introduced to Steve, and then I was chatting to somebody else about the possibility of traditional publishing, and that didn't quite go the way I expected it to. And I said to my friend Jade, I said, "Oh, I'm really disappointed this hasn't worked out." And she said, "Well, why don't you try sending it to this Steve?" I said, "Oh, I can't do that. I can't do that." She said, "Well, you've met him. Do it." So I did. And then suddenly he said, "Yeah, we'll publish this." And then I said, "I've also got a novel as well as poetry." And he said, "Tell me about it." So I did. And he did this thing with his eyes that he does. And he went, "I love it." And got me to send it.
the thing is, this of all the different interviews I have on this show, we sort of publish on YouTube and on podcasts. Every time I learn something new, and it's really good. The the networking element is perhaps something that you're doing very well. Obviously, you're putting yourself out there with the acting, and people are spotting you for that, as we've already discussed. And then again, you're going into events here and meeting people and networking with people. And it's that connections, isn't it? It's connections that make the progress. And that's something that I'm probably lacking on, to be honest. I need to get myself out there more, and get the old networking. Obviously, through the channel, I've sort of met a lot of authors and got some connections from that. But I think maybe I need to push myself a little bit further as well. It's a tough game. It's a tough game selling books, because there are so many books out there.
Yeah.
What's the best way of getting the books out there sold, you think?
Well, to be fair, I haven't sold a lot of books yet to people who aren't friends and family, but I have sold them to friends and family. So I'd say, just as you say, going out as far as you can, as many events as you can, because you might sell one book and then somebody says, "Oh yeah, we love this. We'll recommend it to a friend." Doing market stalls, well, I found quite interesting.
Okay.
It's a bit of a gamble with the market stalls, because people will go along for a specific thing and they might not look at your books. I think the most I've sold in one day is 7, which I was really happy with.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. But it's kind of worth taking the risk. It's just a nice day out chatting to people. I think just always be ready to tell people how they can access your books or have a book with you to sell.
I think you're very good at putting yourself out there, aren't you? A lot of writers are quite shy people, aren't they? I don't think anybody would call me shy, to be honest. But I mean, you're quite good at putting yourself out there.
The acting really helps as well.
Yeah, and you say that your parents have sort of given you a big sort of big backing for that, haven't they? They've encouraged you to follow your dreams and sort of push on, and that. It's nice to have that champion behind you, isn't it?
Oh my goodness, yes. I couldn't do it without my mum and dad. They've just always had faith in that I can do this, that I'm determined, hardworking, and that I will succeed. I will get where I want to be. So yeah, it's do it without them.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I don't know that guilty pleasures is one of my questions. But I don't know if you have time for many guilty pleasures, do you?
Well, how do you mean guilty pleasures? What do you mean, like?
What kind of things do you do to just relax and go do stuff like when you want to just break away?
Do I do that? I actually find writing really relaxing. But when I
Okay.
want to switch off, I watch TV. I love watching classic comedies. I do those Scoobies to occupy my hands. I paint a bit.
Scoobies, what's that?
They were quite big when I was at school in the mid 2000s. They're like bits of wire string that you sort of knit together. It's like knitting for people who can't knit.
How
I've got a
you
knit.
wrap them all around the wire?
Yeah, that's it.
I
Yeah,
think
I've
I've seen them.
got a knit hand, but yeah, kind of like bits of plastic that you just weave together. It's very therapeutic.
Maybe I should try that.
Yeah, it's very good because I like watching the telly, but my hands get restless.
So what's your favourite Christmas film? Because we're around Christmas time.
It's a Wonderful Life.
It's
Definitely.
a Wonderful Life. That's on our list. We
Oh,
we love Christmas films. We do. We've I think probably about 12, 15 Christmas films that we absolutely need to watch every year.
yeah. I
We've
love
just
the white ones as well.
the black and
I love,
white. To be honest, I think A Wonderful Life is probably the only black and white one we've got on our list. That's bad, isn't it? We should have some more. But
yeah, we've got obscure ones, but they're always the classic haphazard hero falls in love with silly young girl who doesn't know nose from her elbow, and they're very funny, very cheesy. But yeah, I tell you what, I always love watching at Christmas. Box of Delights from 1984 with Patrick
Box of
Troughton.
Delight. I've not heard that one. Who's in that?
Patrick Troughton, Richard Stevens, the one who was the guy who was married to Maggie Smith, Richard Stevenson.
Stevenson, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, who else is in it? They're the main characters. Yeah, but it's the adaptation of the book, and my mom taped it back when it was on in the 80s, and we just watch it every year. I've watched it ever since I was a kid, and it's so magical. And I'm watching it back now, and I'm thinking, oh, that inspired this in the book as well. Because it's an old magical man, and it's set in the 30s, and
Yeah.
the young boy Kay Harker who embarks on the adventure. And I realised, oh my goodness, in my book it's a young boy and this older mentor in this magical village. And I thought, oh, that's kind of like Box of Delights. So yeah, that's another influence without even knowing that I was being influenced by it. It's
Well, I
just
think
so
you can't help be influenced by your environment. From some of my other guests, the one guy George, he grew up in a haunted house,
oh
a house that
nice.
was actually haunted. I've got George Best in my. I've got the name wrong probably. It's not George Best, but it's something like that. But obviously the sort of wealth of people that we've had on has been superb. And your Black Country Radio stuff. What?
Mm.
How did you get involved in that? You're
So
a presenter on there, weren't you?
yes, I was for about 6 months in about 2017. So my dad was interviewed for one of the A Comedy Theatre Group shows, and I went on for a chat. And one of the presenters there, he said to me, "Do you want to co-host with me?" And I was just coming out of uni at the time, and I didn't really know what was happening next. And I went, "Oh, yeah, okay." And I officially got my own show with them. And yeah, I was there for about 6 months, and then I found that I couldn't really give the time to it and all the preparation that it needed.
Yeah.
Um, but it was a really fantastic experience, and it was a real confidence boost after leaving uni, and I was sort of scared of going into the wilderness, and suddenly it's, oh no, here we go. I'm doing some presenting. So yeah,
You get everywhere, don't you? So what did you study at uni?
drama and performance studies at
Drama and
Worcester.
performance. But yeah, okay. Are you musical at all? Do you sing and do you play music or anything?
So I'm teaching myself to sing. I'm
Okay.
totally untrained, and I've always told myself I can't sing. But finally, I've gone, no, anyone can sing. Just practice, just learn. So I'm
Have
really
you
trying to get. I think that opens another door, and if I can do musical theatre, that would be crazy. So
yeah.
I'm just trying to practice that.
Have you tried
Um,
karaoke yet?
oh, I'm a karaoke queen.
Oh,
I've got
what's your go-to karaoke song?
Because the Night.
Because the night is that Coro, was it? Yeah,
Patti Smith. Patti
Patti
Smith
Smith. Is
group.
that the original? Corey did it. Because the
Oh,
night. Coro did it. Did a version. It was a club version. Because the night. I
oh,
think.
not heard that. The
Yeah, yeah.
very first time I heard the song, Toya Wilcox was doing it on French and Saunders, and I thought I
Ah,
like
okay.
that.
I'm just gonna have a look at this now. Because the night. I'm sure I've got Coro. Coro.
Hmm.
Because the night. Let's just have a look. No. I've just put because the night in. I wonder whether the song will come up. This is a test we're doing live here. Oh, it's asking me to check whether I'm human or not. Hang on, I'm going to
Oh no.
identify which one's a bed.
Oh no.
I think I've got them all now.
Hmm.
Oh dear, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're too.
Patti Smith group because the night rock from the 70s. It's not got my version on.
I think I have heard
I'm
of a
just
club version. I think I asked to
Caro.
do it. They did that by mistake.
Yeah, Caro. Yeah, because the night Coro. That's it. Coro.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
featuring Talisa. That was
Interesting.
yeah. I'll have that on after. I'm not going to put it on here. That'll give me all sorts. Or I can do actually, can't I? Let's have a look.
Sure.
Oh no, it's not letting me do it. It must now. I'm live streaming. It won't let me do it. That's not
Oh,
very good,
okay.
is it?
No.
Right then. So, Laura, um, when you are writing, how do you do your process? Do you just? Oh, hang on, it's come on now. Can you hear this? It's got a bit of Master and Servant, Depeche Mode sampling. Yeah, it's got sampling from Depeche Mode, Master and Servant. I'm an 80s boy, you see.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, given that you sort of get involved in all kinds of stuff, this show has been kind of all over the place, which I kind of knew. I knew from what your friend told me that that was possible, and I think that's probably me partly to blame as well. I also like karaoke. I love my karaoke. What is it? When You're Gone, the Bryan Adams. That's my go-to. So, but next time you're on karaoke, where'd you go karaoke? I'm gonna have to...
Oh, I haven't been for a while. I've been at the Jolly Crispin. There was
the Jolly Crispin. I've heard of that. Where's that?
That's in Stourbridge. It's by where the old library used to be. There's a set of 3 traffic lights near Wetherspoons.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
it's kind of up there as if you're going towards the school, as if you're going towards
Jolly
Red Hill.
Crispin. Do you know? We'll
Yeah.
get together. We're gonna do karaoke. We're gonna do karaoke.
No.
We're gonna post it on the show. Right then. So yeah, as I say, you're writing. Do you edit as you go, or do you just get your first draft all the way down before you touch it?
First draft down. I used to edit as I go, and that's a really dangerous thing to do because you start thinking, oh no, I'm no good. Oh, this. So you need to get into the flow of doing it. I have to be quite disciplined with myself with when to do it, because if I think, oh, okay, I'm going out in half an hour, I can do half an hour's writing. No, I'll be writing down the street, and then I'll be late for wherever I've got to go. So I've got to tell myself, no, you know what you're like. You won't be able to stop. Make sure you've got a clear day to do it. Unless because sometimes I write a really, really precise to-do list of pretty much how each paragraph is going to go. And if I know that
proper plotting, that is then, yeah.
Yeah, if I know that I can do that, and I can say, okay, just do one point and then stop for a day, then I can do it in short bursts. But if it's something where I know I've really got to be really descriptive and imaginative and work things out, I know I need to give myself a full day, or don't do it.
Yeah, I think for me, I sort of have my to-do lists and that sort of thing. If I've got things on my to-do list, I can't really focus on my writing. So I need to have my head clear to be able to sort of get into it and delve in as such.
I'm sort of the other way.
You're the opposite.
Yeah, I'll wake up and I'll look at my to-do list on my whiteboard on my wardrobe, and I'll go, oh, I don't want to do that. So then I'll write for an hour or so, and then I'll suddenly feel like, oh, I've done some writing today. Let's get some things off my to-do list. It gives me a boost.
Okay, that's a bit opposite to me, but I mean, the thing is, it's different. Whatever fits for people, isn't it? Whatever fits for people, that's the key. Laura, you are an absolute joy, and I wish you well in your endeavours. We definitely need to get together for some karaoke at some point. But it seems all the karaoke places seem to be stopping, or maybe they just stop doing it because they know I'm coming, perhaps.
Yeah, I see a few places that are doing it, but there don't seem to be that many around Stourbridge. But we'll have to try.
Well, we tried sort of Wolverhampton, and a place in Wolverhampton sort of get more and more quiet. I see my friend in Stafford, and we go karaoke up there sometimes. But we got to get out and make a fool of ourselves occasionally, haven't we?
Oh yeah, definitely. Christmas would have been the perfect time, but it's a bit too close now. Mind you, I sang fairy in October once.
You did what in October?
Sang Fairy Tale of New York.
Oh yeah, that's why not? That's
I dragged my friend up on karaoke, and like Gavin and Stacey, we did the gender reverse, and I played him, and Michael played Kirsty McCall. And when I was going, it's Christmas Eve, babe, he went, it's October. He did not want to be there. just the contempt in his voice.
Well, on a final note, if the Germans can have Oktoberfest in September, then everything's open, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Do it. Yeah.
Nice
Just
one.
do it.
Cheers, Laura. Thanks for coming on. And
Fantastic.
make sure everybody share the show. Let everybody see all the daft stuff we get up to on here. Thanks for watching, and thanks for listening for those on podcast. Thanks a lot.